I'm here with Danny.
What's up, man?
Finally, I get him into my podcast.
Yes, sir.
Man, I've known Danny for a good minute as far as like when I was actually teaching guitar and then transitioned to actually doing photography. So Danny has been a good, I would say a good person to actually get to know as far as like who he is as a person, as a friend. He's always been a really good friend. He's always helped out when it comes to like the photography side, videography side. And of course, now that I have the studio, he's helped me out like moving and then putting stuff up like the TV and then the sound panels, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Danny, if you could just give us like a brief little bio as far as like where you're from, what you do, what do you do currently as far as like creativity wise, all that good stuff, anything that you want to promote as well.
Well, first off, I know Irvin's deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh yeah? Oh, shit.
I've known him for like what? A couple, I don't know.
So I would say your
Like-
brother was like 15.
Yeah.
How old is Joseph now?
It's like 25, 26.
I'm going to say 10 years now.
10 years.
10,
Yeah, I was
11
about
years.
to say, yeah, 10 years.
Yeah,
Since I've lived out here.
Yeah,
kinda.
it's been a good minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Danny D. I run a little online magazine. Been doing it since I've known him, so probably like 10 years now. But it's just off and on, I guess. Not really like fully, I guess, committed yet. But, you know, off and on, I've been doing it here and there whenever I get time and stuff like that. Now I've hopped back on and have decided to just go full blast on it. And this time, no stops, no hesitation. This is what I'm going to do. So took 10 years, but.
Oh, you're talking about your creativity stuff as far as like your magazine?
Well, I'm talking about, the playground.
Okay.
I'm talking
Okay,
about
gotcha.
continuing, because, you know, I started actually when we met.
Yeah. So let's actually go towards that section right now. That way people could actually recognize how you got started in that form factor, and then maybe how we kind of connected within that same section of your creativity. Because I know you did an art show, and then I had my band there as well. So we kind of did a little collab.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like a good minute ago too. So.
Yeah, it was years ago. Well, you mean like from the very beginning? Like, or
Yeah, just a small, like, where was the idea initially coming from as far as like when you started your magazine, your online magazine? And then, of course, what was the idea back then? And now what are you thinking where it's going to be headed towards?
Well, it started, honestly, it's been so long. I don't remember how. I want to say I used to have this hat. It was like playground. I forgot what it was. Playground something. I remember one time I was wearing it, and my uncle, he made a joke about it because he always, you know, he's like one of those uncles that just, you know, talks and mess around. So he said something about like Playground magazine, and it just always stuck to me. And that kind of just evolved after that. Then I made my logo, which it says it all basically. Yeah. And then from there, I took it and I made it meaningful. So basically, Playground magazine represents like a playground. Like life is a playground. You can do what you love, kind of thing.
Okay.
That's kind of like my slogan. So I want to do a magazine that doesn't really have a topic. It's just literally just about everything you could possibly think about. Stories and motivation, inspiration, people's hustle, what people do, dirt bike, skateboarding, you know, everything under the sun, basically.
Yeah.
And that's where I started. And then I started doing, following like, you know, music artists. I don't know if you guys know J-Tex, but I followed him. He was viral at that time.
You did a video for him?
Yeah, I followed him around. We went on like a mini tour.
Oh, nice.
I did something
Was
like
it the
that.
music video they have on your YouTube channel right now?
No. This was like years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then just like little artists here and there, I would interview. Then I did like models. And then I transitioned into models because that's kind of the era where models were everybody. That's just what every photographer was doing.
Yeah, and this is like the before OnlyFans too.
Yeah,
like where
way
like
before.
The influencer chick wasn't really like
exactly.
the big thing yet, where
Yep.
they weren't getting the sponsorships and they weren't having their professional photographer.
Exactly.
I think when we started, or when you started, because you started before me, that's where cameras were getting a little bit more accessible as far as like the consumer base. And of course, we're guys. I'm like, oh, I want to go shoot a gorgeous girl today, and it's just easier to photograph someone that already looks good.
Yeah.
And of course, it's just like, oh, we always see the magazines, like the Maxim magazines or sports magazines. The girl's already there, so we kind of already envision like what we were kind of wanting. But yeah, I do remember you were doing that section.
Yeah. So I transitioned into just like shooting models because I felt like it was very, very new. I want to say there was only a very few photographers doing it, and I kind of picked up on it, and kind of that's what people wanted to see anyways. And it was so new that that's just what everything was, that's what was on Instagram at that time. So
Currently, it's kind of is, but now it's escalated where they're
now it's just so it's so watered down. It's
yeah.
like so many. Everybody does it basically.
Exactly. Everything looks exactly the same at this point. Every shot, as far as like the angles, I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen that angle. I
It's
get what you're
almost
trying to
boring
look
now.
at. I'm like, all right.
It's boring.
I'm like,
yeah. So yeah, that's where I headed. I did that for a couple years, and then I got some momentum from everything, not just from the models, but from everything. And then I kind of just got burned out. I stopped for a couple years, and now we're here. I picked up again, and I'm kind of sticking more. It's kind of a little bit more grown, I want to say. Like I've reached a level where it's just going to be more, I guess, it's still going to be a mixture of everything because that's just what Playground is. But it's more like on a grown level, I guess.
Like more mature?
More mature.
Okay.
And just more like, want to be more professional.
Yeah. As far as like, what is your vision for it now? As far as like, who are you looking for to interview? Who are you trying to capture?
Same thing. Just everybody under the sun. Like, if you have a story to tell, or if you just do dope stuff, that's just what I'm going to cover. Okay. The thing is now is what I'm trying to do is build a team because I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
That's how I stopped years ago.
Yeah, it's very important to build a team. And I think right now we have my friend Altoid or George in the house. I kind of talked to him as far as like the whole idea of having a group, as far as like just having other people trying to kind of navigate that same distance that you're trying to in the same path, and then see where they could fit in your group as far as like within your idea, because they could be better at certain things, and they basically make it grow a lot quicker with a stronger foundation too, because that's what I'm doing with my team. Like, okay, certain people are better at certain things, or they like doing certain things more than I do, so why not just give it to them, and then I'll do what I want to do in the forefront, which is like basically doing the sales and of course creating new content or building the content, so then I could show it to the team. Like, hey, this is where my vision is. So let's see how you could create it, and then put your little formula into it as well. Yeah, but team building is very important, especially when you're creative.
Super important. I feel like that's, if I would have had a team back then, well, I guess I kind of messed up because when I was building it, I didn't want any help. There was a lot of people actually hitting me up that wanted to help. I remember I would always get DMs about how they could be a part of the family, because I really pushed like Playground's a family, like community, stuff like that. So I remember getting DMs of people just wanting to help, and I should have took advantage of that, and I didn't. And I was just more like, I wanted to do it on my own. Yeah. And I didn't want nobody to help me. Yeah. That way I could say that I did it on my own. But now I learned that that's not the right way.
I think for every creative, it's hard to have someone else put their insider input into your creativity, because you're like, well, who are you? Yeah. But it's all ego based. And I had to learn that when I started this company, because I taught myself how to edit. I taught it as far as like the photos and the video.
Heck yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, no one's going to be able to do it the way that I want it to look like at the end.
Hell yeah.
So it took me a good minute for me to let go.
Yeah.
And when I actually started teaching Ari how to actually edit, I already knew in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, she's not going to be that good at it yet, but just patience, and hopefully it sticks, and maybe she could then have the same vision and that I have already when I'm actually shooting a house or anything that we do content creating, that she could actually produce the product that I already have. But that comes with me spending a lot of time with her, like behind the scenes. I'm like, okay, this is what I do. This is a process. And even that takes a good minute. And you never know if they're going to stick to it either, because people are excited in the beginning and then they get bored, or if not, they get excited and they find something else, or they get excited and they basically just copy your formula and then go and do it exactly the same way that you just taught them. And for you, it's like, it could be a waste of time. And then it takes a lot of your energy, but team building is very important.
Yeah,
Regardless
very
if there's the
important.
negatives, but the positives are a lot greater
Hell yeah.
from what I've seen as far as like the experiences that I've kind of grown within this company.
Mm.
So yeah, team building is very important.
Yeah, well, I learned that part, I guess, from you watching you because I seen you build this company from the ground up. So I've learned, also watching you that it's very important to have a team, to build a team. It's almost important to build the team first, and then pitch your team your idea and your vision. If they like it, they stick around. If
Yeah.
not, it's obviously there's other people. But yeah, I think it's very important because you get burnt out. You can't edit, shoot, write the article. You can't do all that stuff and still survive. You still got to work, obviously, and make money. So it's just, it almost wants, it makes you just want to give up, I guess.
Yeah.
In a way.
Or it just burns you out.
Burns you out, yeah.
Because you actually put in all the effort, all the work, all your creativity into the product.
Mm-hmm.
And at the outcome shouldn't always be, I'm going to get more attention or I'm going to become famous or I'm going to get a good sum of money. But technically, we're kind of looking for that validation as creators as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we're just trying to produce and produce and produce, as far as like just doing that action, just by itself will get you tired. And then, of course, when you put the product out and because you're so tired, because you're doing it so consistently, you don't even like your own product anymore. Like it just becomes dull. I'm like, well, I don't even care. Just like, I just want to throw it out there and that's it.
Well, kind of like what you said, I have like this hate relationship with Instagram and all the social media platforms because like you said, in a way, I do it because I love it. But at the same time, I get so frustrated and upset when you work so hard on something and it doesn't get the
views,
those eyes on it, and you work so hard on it, and you see other things that were shot on a phone in a second that gets twerking, millions of views, and it just makes you upset. It really makes you mad that like you spent all this time and you put a lot of work and money too, because you got to buy equipment and stuff like that,
and then put the time into actually learning how to edit.
So it makes you upset, and that's why I went into modeling as well, because I kind of just said, you know what, F it, I'm just gonna give the people what they want, and once I get those people, I'm gonna give them what they need. I'm gonna give them what I want to give them. So I was playing that role, I was doing that. And it was working, I was getting, like I said, I already had the momentum from what I was doing, but now I was getting a whole nother,
dialogue of people.
Yeah. And I was giving them what they want as well. I was mixing it in with models and other stuff. And now it's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to do, what I think is, I guess what I love.
Yeah. I think we all go through that phase as far as like the models and stuff. I did it very brief as far as like when I started, but my reasonings were more of like they're just easier to work with when it comes to like creating something because they already kind of have that, they just want the picture, so it's easier to shoot somebody that wants something rather than shoot someone that doesn't want anything. As far as like being in front of the camera, my only issue was that when it actually started where more and more people were doing it, I started getting this feeling of entitlement off of the model where like, oh, how many pictures am I going to get? Could I get all this amount? And I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not paying me. I'm doing most of the work. I'm doing the editing. And then they started putting deadlines on me. And then after, I think the last one, I was like, nah, like, I can't. Like, I had told her prior, I'm like, look, I'm busy. Let's go shoot if you want, but understand that I'm not going to get to the photos for like maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And she didn't hear what I told her. And she, towards the like week, she's like, where are my photos? Where are my photos? I'm like, bro, that's entitlement. Like, who are you at this point? Like, you didn't pay anything. Like, we're just collabing. As far as like, you're getting better at what you do, I'm getting better at what I do. And then that's kind of, that was the last one. As far as like the freebie. After that, I did started doing like, what are they called? Influencers for a little bit. But even that got tiresome too, because it's not something that you want to create because it's something that they just want. And it's a basic photo. And it has nothing to do with how you would shoot it or how you would edit it, because they already showed you like, this is what I want, and I could duplicate it, but it doesn't satisfy me in any way when I actually see it in front of me. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have color graded it that way, or I wouldn't have shot it that way, or I would have put you in the different position, or I would have posed you differently. rather than just show you just, oh, like here's your outfit and here's your purse, because that's what they want to see now. And they want, those, what are they called? Those ads that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what they were going after. And I'm like, that for me was just very annoying. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. But I think we all go through that phase. Like, okay, models are the way to go. Guys are always looking at girls. Girls are always looking at what they're wearing or makeup or all that stuff. So it's a good way to get the viewers. But for me, it just it didn't last, because I'm more of a creative, not just, I'm going to follow whatever else someone else is doing.
Yeah, it doesn't last long. It doesn't really last long. You got to do something that you actually love. I think when you do something that you actually love or you enjoy or whatever, it lasts way longer. It lasts forever.
Yeah.
Compared to something that you just want to, something quick.
And going back to what you're saying right now is more off of what I'm doing now, because I do this on a daily, like as far as like photo, video, and editing and managing my team. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do tell me like, you should slow down. Like this week I have a very slow week because it's, we're holiday week.
Yeah.
I did have work yesterday. I looked at my calendar. You have nothing to do tomorrow. I'm like, what did I do? I called you.
Yeah, you called me at like 9 o'clock at
I'm
night.
like, bro, what are you up to tomorrow? You're like, well, what's going on? I'm like, well, I got nothing to do. I'm like, I could have taken a day off, but even the thought of taking a day off, it's bothersome to me. Like I have to complete something, or I feel like I did nothing and I wasted a whole day when I could have like literally created something. Mm-hmm. And the idea of this studio was in my head like years ago. So why not take advantage of what I've already created and just continue doing it? And the whole idea of the burnout, for me, it doesn't come into my head because I'm actually doing what I like.
Exactly.
If you're doing something that you don't like, it is going to become more tiresome because you're just doing it for just the income or the finances, because you're trying to pay the bills or the mortgage or whatever. 100% understood. But I'm in a position now where I do a lot of projects where it feeds into the company. Mm-hmm. And every now and then I do get tired, but I'm still doing something I love doing. So the burnout happens maybe towards the evening time when I'm actually tired because I actually did a lot of work. Yeah. But the next morning I'm like, okay, let's get it again. And I see my team growing. I see the company growing. So literally that just keeps me motivated to continue doing. And of course, now I'm meeting new people as far as like the people that are around me. Like for a minute, I didn't even see you for like maybe a year or two, or we kind of just stopped talking to each other because I was so busy growing this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I called you and you're like, oh, you have a studio now? And then you came through, and then it was like before, I think, did we paint yet the room?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, and then we didn't have the sound panels. We didn't have the TV. We didn't really have.
I think you were just moving in.
Yeah, we're kind of in the process of just like putting everything together. Mm-hmm. But then again, that's where you then started telling me like, oh, I want to get into it again. And then it was more of like, okay, well, you just have to make sure that you continue doing it. Yeah. Because you started before me, and then I came through with the camera, and then that's where I kind of just like went tippy-toe, but I enjoyed it to the point where I'm like, okay, I could see this going somewhere at some point. Not 100% at that time, but it was more of like, okay, let me just tiptoe in every avenue that I could get into, like the quinceañeras, the weddings, the portraits, stuff that were actually bringing in money, because the lenses they cost money, the tripods, all that stuff, they cost money. Mm-hmm. So just the idea of just doing a small wedding for like, I remember the first one I did it for free, the second one I did it for $100. Damn. The third one I did for $300, and then it kind of went through that process, like, because I didn't know what I was doing. I remember my first wedding was Claren's wedding. I didn't even know what formatting was.
Oh, shit.
Like literally,
like when you format the card?
Yeah, I didn't know how to format the card. I was deleting.
I think I remember that actually. I remember telling you, or I think I showed you
after.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, because I remember I had a 32 gigabyte and a 64. Yeah. And you let me borrow your camera that day too, for her wedding. And I was with those two cards. I took my laptop and an external hard drive. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna dump the footage, and then just delete it off the card, and then use the same card. That way I don't have to buy more SD cards. Yeah. But I was deleting off of the computer. That's how new I was. I had maybe like 2 months into photography or videography. Yeah. So I was fairly new at everything, but just the idea of, okay, someone asked me to do something, now I have to make sure that I don't screw it up. Even though I did it for free, it was more of just like that anxiousness. I'm like, okay, what do you need? What do they do? And then what are the angles, and what is the audio? What is the lighting? What Kelvin's? So I was learning everything off of the pressure that I was putting myself in. And I think that's how I learned a lot quicker. Yeah. And like I said, I didn't know how to format an SD card. I don't even know what that. In my head, I'm like, why don't they just put delete? Like delete, delete
yeah.
all formatting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that?
And then also like when you delete, obviously you could delete a picture and stuff and delete a lot of pictures, but your memory card still got shit in it. You won't go away unless you format your card.
exactly.
So you're still gonna fill it up.
Exactly, and that's what happened. I was like doing the first look,
Yeah.
and I pushed record, and luckily via editing, I clipped it like it made it seem like there was a blackout because
Oh, I
I
see.
literally record. It went through the process, and then they looked at each other, and right when they were gonna kiss, it stopped recording.
Oh,
So right away I had to push record again, and it gave me like at least another 10 seconds of recording time, and then that's where the card said it was full.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
but on the editing, I made it look like there was a blackout when they looked at each other, and then they went back like to the kissing.
So it worked out. I know sometimes you gotta like, dude, I've done videos where you make something out of nothing. Like you literally have like, or something like that. You mess up or your camera messes up and you gotta make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's where like that love for it comes in, because you gotta find a way.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea of the photography and videography side that I like, is just that the concepts of like you're under stress and you're trying to do something that it's in your head and you're trying to create it, but no one's actually showing you how to do it.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of navigating. And then of course from your mistakes, you're like, oh, that was actually pretty cool. And then you kind of like
exactly.
repeat it again, and it was by accident.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that process. And even till then, like now I like doing a lot. Well, right now it's a slow season, so I'm really trying to push this right now, the podcast. Like you're going to be my first podcast of the day. I'm gonna have another one at 1:30. So once again, I can't sit still and do nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's not who I am.
Yeah.
So if you would have said no, I would have more than likely got here as the time that I got here and started editing something from the past.
Yeah.
But that's because that's who I am now. Like it became my lifestyle. Like if you tell me like, hey, are you just going to watch Netflix or are you going to watch a movie? I'm like, no, that's not who I am. Like I get it. That's some people's lifestyle because they're not in the creative mind space and they're just doing the 9 to 5.
Yeah. And then
And it's just that's a lifestyle of like, okay, I'm just going to watch a movie because that's my relaxation moment or whatever. But for me, I'm like, I want to create that, not watch it, you know? And I do watch movies. I'm not going to say I don't, but still, like I can't just sit all day and do
I know
nothing.
what you mean. Hell yeah.
Put this on silent because it keeps beeping.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So how was it that you got started into the whole photography, videography side? Because I think I got to know you when I was doing music. So what was that like?
I've been doing it since like a kid. Like, I remember it was tape recorders. You know, like those not the VHS. It was like those little ones. Yeah. Those handheld ones. I would obviously I was a kid. I don't even remember. Maybe I want to say maybe 10. And, parents had one, so I would always use it. I would get it. And then since I didn't have any editing software, I would just record. Let's say I had my brother doing something, and then I would record him doing something, and I would make sure it have to stop at the perfect time. There's no editing. Yeah. So I had to make sure I started it at the same, a good spot. So it looked like you edited it, transition. That's where I started, I guess, as a kid. And then I just kept going. I think I learned... Well, I was introduced how to edit in high school. I took like a film class, and at high school they had like a little film class. We were editing on Macs, so I guess I learned on iMovie.
Yeah,
I learned iMovie, like the basics. And even after years of graduating, because there was a video that we had to make for like our final grade or whatever. Everybody had to make like a little, I guess, mini movie or whatever. And then I remember years later, I forgot who told me, probably one of my brother's friends or somebody. They told me that the teacher still used my movie as an example for the class.
That's cool.
And I thought that was cool because it was like years later.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I learned how to edit, from iMovie in high school. And from there, I just took it, kept going. I got my own Mac, and then I got Final Cut, and just kept going and going. And then
you started with the Rebel, right?
Yeah, T. This is when like it was barely starting. T3.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had like a T3. I still have it.
Yeah, it still works. Your Canon 70D doesn't work.
Canon 70D doesn't work.
Dang.
I don't know what the hell.
What happened? What'd you do to it? You dropped it?
No, the other day I tried to turn it on, and what does it do? I think it freezes or something. And I looked it up, and it says like it's something common that happens to those cameras. But maybe from sitting so long, I don't know. Because when I put it away, it was still working.
I don't know. I gave one away, and then I sold the other one. Yeah, and as far as I know, they still have it.
Still working.
Yeah, they're still working. So I don't know. Maybe it's a firmware update or
maybe
something internal.
Yeah. It's still a good camera, honestly.
Yeah, it's still a good camera. Yeah. That's the one that I used most of the time back in the day. Like the Distant Skies videos that we have up and the photos, that's all of that camera. And those are like, I still love those photos too. Like they're like, resolution's not that great, but I did a lot of compositing on Photoshop. Yeah. So you can't even.
Yeah, I look back at photos too that I've took with that camera, and I'm like, fuck, I'm very impressed. Like it's still, to this day, it aged well. It still doesn't even look like it was a bad camera.
I think what we do is we kind of put certain cameras on a pedestal in our heads to like think that, oh, if I have this type of lens or this type of camera, I could become a better creative, or I'm going to create something even a lot better. But we put so much emphasis on the equipment rather than into what we're trying to create internally. Because there's a lot of photos that I take on my phone, and I have a little point and shoot. It's called a GR from Ricoh. And it's a little pocket camera, and I've taken that to the street, like, and shot pictures. And my little Fuji camera, you know, the same thing. Like, it's not my Canon R5 or whatever with my, I don't know, L lenses, whatever. But still, like, I create a lot more with this little camera than my actual camera. And I think a lot of creatives need to kind of go a little bit back and start as far as like, don't put so much pressure as far as like, if you don't have certain equipment, just kind of go out and create it. And then, there's going to be limitations as far as like what that equipment could do. But from those limitations, you're going to learn a lot more, because now you're having to think about, okay, my camera doesn't have good audio, so what do I need to do? And then what do I need to do if I don't have a good microphone? Let me maybe Bluetooth my phone somewhere where it's somewhere in my jacket. And now you're kind of thinking a little bit more creatively.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you enjoy it when you actually see the product too. I'm like, oh, I didn't have that equipment. But now, like I said, now I have a good amount of equipment. So I could actually just say, oh, what do I need if I'm in this position? But still back then it was like, you're just trying to figure it out. Like I'll look at videos that I've shot with the band when we were doing like acoustic stuff. And I just had my Rode stereo mic, and I'd put it in the middle of us, and it sounds amazing. Like I'm like, who would have known, you know, like, and back then I was just thinking like, oh, it needs to be closer to us. And I'll just get a long cable, put it like on a table and Clarion would sing, and then I'll play my guitar. And then for me, I'm like, oh, but now I could literally love everybody, love like my guitar or whatever if I really wanted to. But for me, I think that process, even just thinking about how much I would actually do now, it would almost tire me to the point where I wouldn't even create what we would create back then, because it was just already fast paced. I'm like, okay, what could I do? Like, it's easier. Just like, okay, let's put a microphone here, push record, one camera, and then here you go, YouTube it, and that's it.
Well, the 70D, when I first got it, it was one of the first cameras that had autofocus. And it's crazy to think, because like, I guess we started at a time where technology was still kind of like going. So like now it's like everything has autofocus. But I remember when I started with my camera, everything was manual. There was no autofocus at all. And so everything was manual. So you just had to learn that. Like you said, there were struggles in trying to take, you know, photos and videos and stuff. And now it's kind of like just at your hands. Yeah.
I think at this point in my life, I'm just trying to kind of analyze as far as like where my next steps are going to be as far as like my creative stuff. Because I do have my own space that I could create. I have the equipment that I need to create it. But I just need to make sure that I put the time into it as far as like for myself. Like today, I'm usually working for a client, but when I have time for myself, I usually neglect it. And I think that's something a lot of creators do when they get into the business. And my biggest fear back then was actually being in the place that I am now, where I'm overwhelmed, like where it's constant work, consistent. So I'm always having to do contracts or talk to the clients or invoices or talk to my team. And that within itself is it's a job. And then when it comes to the creative side, you're like, man, I don't even look at my camera right now. Like that's exactly what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
But if we want to continue growing, we have to just do it. You know, like there's no excuse, you know, like you want to be an entrepreneur, you just have to do it because no one's going to pay you if you don't do anything. You know, like the idea of just like going to school, getting a diploma for cinematography or videography, that within itself for me, yeah, it works for some people. Congratulations, you have a paper, but it doesn't work how I've seen it work. You know, like no one's ever asked me like, hey, do you have a diploma for your videography or photography? I'm like, no, they just see the product and here you go. Like, okay, this is how much you charge. And I tell them, but yeah, for me now it's more of like, okay, what do I want to do next? And I think at this point it's more, I want to make sure that I'm more consistent with my podcast, not only InView Media's podcast, and then see what else I could work on within myself. Because the idea of the podcast back then was, one, understand what it was as far as like how to set up the equipment and then sell it to. And then, of course, get used to being in front of the camera and learn how to actually communicate correctly with somebody that's in front of me. And I actually do go back on my old podcast and I analyze myself. I'm like, bro, you're awkward. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there were so many topics within the conversation that the other person had just stated. You could have grown that conversation, but I didn't know how to do that. And now I'm like, okay, it's easy. Now people come in here and I'm telling them the mistakes that I was doing so that they don't feel awkward. And at this point, I'm like, I'm still not 100% comfortable being in front of the camera or doing the podcast, but I could actually see myself like a lot better when it comes to this process, you know? But I think that's something that we as creatives have to kind of just push ourselves to do, something that's uncomfortable because I'm an introvert. I don't want to be talking all the time.
You're an introvert?
Bro, I'm an introvert.
I would never known.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and that's how I always went. Like in the band, I didn't want to be in front of people, but I was on stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does that work? I'm like,
I know, huh? So it makes you do outrovert stuff, but you're an introvert.
I think it's because of the activities that I've always put myself into have always put me in the positions of being in having to navigate extrovert activities. Like,
how does that work? What do you know about that? Like introvert, extrovert? Because I feel like I'm an introvert, but at the same time, I'm just like you. I do outrovert stuff, and I do like some people. Well, I don't know. Lately, I guess the older I've gotten, I've been more introvert. When I was younger, I was way more, outrovert. Yeah. But it's kind of like, are you like, can you switch over or like can you be one and then be another? Or
like a chameleon?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now I can, just because I'm always navigating business. So it's almost like a thrilling thought in my head. Like when I go talk to people that have suits and they're talking about money and finances, and I'm here selling my product. Yeah. And then they give me a contract and they tell me, oh, this is what we want. These are our policies. And then these are numbers. And then I look at it. Yeah. And then there's a switch in my head now, how to like use what I've learned from talking to them so many times, not themselves exactly, but a different person, that it's a custom, like there's a switch. Like, okay, I love what you presented here, but here's on my terms, and here's what I'm going to actually tell you what I want. Yeah, and then I flip it on them. But now, for like I said, it becomes a game for me at this point. Like, like okay, how could I navigate this conversation where it's benefiting me now, because I understand that what they're doing is something that I've read already, and I'm pretty sure they read the same books. So it's easier for me to like, okay, understand that. But when it comes to introvert, extroverts, an extrovert is a person that is going to be energized or get energy off of other people. Yeah. So that's what an extrovert is. An introvert is a person that technically gets drained if they're around a bunch of people. So if I'm at a bar and I'm hanging around too many people, I get tired quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my focus, it's just too much. Too much stimuli. Yeah.
Have you ever gotten dizzy?
Not dizzy. I think it's more of just I just get really tired. Yeah. I get, especially where I'm in locations that I'm not like too familiar. Yeah. Like theme parks, I don't do theme parks. Yeah. IKEA, I don't do IKEA.
But isn't it funny, when you were a kid, did you ever know that that's what was going on?
No, I didn't.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Well, here's where the school system at this point for me, because I wanted to be a teacher, and this is a big reason why I wanted to be a teacher too, is because I already know that the way that I learn is way different than the way that the actual
yeah.
school system
Well, yeah, me
teaches
too.
us, you
Yeah.
know? So I always felt like an outsider,
Yeah.
and I always felt like a dummy too. Like I always felt slower than
other
the
kids.
average kids, you know, the ones that were able to sit down for those many hours and
Yeah.
do the process of homework and the process of the schoolwork that they were giving you.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot different, and I'm more of a one visual person as far as like if I see something, I'll probably learn it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But if you just give me a pamphlet, I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like,
Hell no.
what you're asking me to teach myself.
Yeah,
What is the point of
exactly.
this?
Yeah.
So my idea of wanting to be a teacher is the idea of like, okay, I think I could be a better teacher than them.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started teaching, it was more of just like, I think I was teaching for like maybe 4 or 5 years. I did privately, which that's how I met you.
Yeah.
I was teaching your brother guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was also teaching at a private school, actually 2 private schools. So I got to get the whole experience as far as like 101 and then of course like classroom setting.
Yeah.
So for me, it became more of like, okay, I like teaching, but I like teaching people that actually want to learn. And then when I was teaching, it was a hit and miss because I was teaching kids that sometimes wanted to learn how to play music, and there was other kids that were just being forced to play music.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of them where they were just being forced to play music, and it was just very like draining at this point. I'm like, oh, come on, do you need to practice again? So I need to go through the same lesson plan and all that stuff. So it became routine. That was my biggest reason why I wanted to be a teacher, and that was my biggest reason why I stopped being a teacher too, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, these kids are wild. I'm like, nah, I'm not made for
How
this.
old?
Well, the age gaps went from I think from 5 to like 60.
Oh heck
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
There's no way getting a 5-year-old to sit there and listen.
No, actually, some of them did really well. Like I remember I taught a kid for like 4 years, and when he started, he was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this other girl, she was 8 years old or 7 years old, and I think she stopped when she was 12.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, something like that. Like I when I first started, I got a good amount of students, and like they stuck with me.
I see.
Yeah, but that was how I was making money back then. Like
yeah.
literally, I was making money, and no one, McDonald's wouldn't hire me, you know. So I'm like, all right, how am I gonna get money? Like, all right, use what I got. Just have a guitar and let's go.
Yeah.
So, but we always find a way, you know.
But you're also working a little bit construction, right? Here and there.
Yeah, here and there with my dad. But because I was going to school at the time, I was going to AVC. I was doing a lot of classes, and then of course at the time I was playing in the band, and then I was also teaching. So construction is very random.
Yeah.
It's always like whenever it hits, and then it doesn't. There's not a location to that. It's gonna be consistent.
Yeah.
So it was more of just like, okay, I could make money with my dad if I really wanted to, but it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't fulfilling.
yeah, at all. Like I would see myself in the mirror and I'm like all dusty, and I'm like, nah, bro, like not for me. Like, not for me.
Not
Like,
only that, it just you probably come home drained and you don't want to do nothing.
yeah, it's that too. Like you're just not enjoying life, and
Yeah.
you know, like this is where I give thanks to my parents too, like where they allowed me and my sister to like actually go and pursue what we wanted to do without a lot of pressures as far as like what type of work we were going to get into, or if we were going to go to school or all that stuff. So it's just more of just like they just allowed us to be. And I think because we were put in a position where we didn't really have a lot of options, me and my sister, because we're coming in from Mexico, they understood that our lives were going to be a little bit harder. So it was more of just like, just do your best at what you could get, and that we'll be happy. And from there, it was just like, there was no pressure as far as like on their end to like become a doctor, become a lawyer, you know, like something extravagant.
Wait, does your parents know what you do? Like, have they came here, or like, or do they kind of have an idea what you do now?
My mom does.
Yeah.
My dad, I think through family. It's just weird. Like when it comes to the son and father relationship, it's always different. You know, like he knows, and I know he's proud of me, but
he won't. Yeah, he won't express it.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
but they know that you're like, I mean, you're at a good spot. They know that you're making like money, right? They don't think you're just playing around anymore.
No,
right?
no, I think they already know. Like in the beginning, they were kind of curious. I think my mom had told me once to actually go to school for photography. Like, why don't you go to school for photography? I'm like, why? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But that was because I was going to school for music, you know?
Okay.
So But when I stopped music, she asked me, why don't you just go to school for photography?
I see.
But it became more of just like, I already started getting clients at that time. Like, but she started to notice that momentum in the beginning, and then she acknowledged it. I'm like, okay, I think in her head, like, oh, if you got a diploma or a degree, you could get more clients.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, well, I'm already getting clients. And yeah, maybe that's a route that maybe could have been taken if I was going to get into some sort of publication.
Yeah.
But even then, no one's really asking, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what
You just
magazine
gotta
is
be
going to
good at
say
what
like,
you do.
oh, could I see your, credentials?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm like, no one's really asking for that, so especially in our space. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you go and do it, and if they like your product, they're gonna want to repeat it, and they're gonna invest in that product too.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I think my parents now they kind of do know, but it's because I post a lot. You know, like my cousins, my aunts, I'm pretty sure they'll comment on my stuff and they'll like it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think because of them, they kind of acknowledge it. My mom's been here once, but this was before I kind of like had the sound panels, before
I
I had the TV.
Yeah, yeah.
My sister came here Halloween because we did a Halloween shoot for the kids. So she came through. That was the first time. So she saw it. But I don't know. It's weird because it's a question I don't ask myself. Like it's just so I'm not looking outwards. I'm always the me person. So I'm inside and I don't see what everyone else
the
does.
outside,
You know
yeah.
that. So I can't say because I've never asked them.
Well, it's because right now when you said how they really didn't push you guys because they understand how much harder it is for you guys, I wonder if them thinking like, damn, like this dude really did it. Like he's got his own studio, he's like everything. Like obviously, I'm sure they don't know about podcasts because they're not into that stuff. They're
Yeah.
probably far away from.
Yeah.
Probably never even heard of what a podcast is. Maybe
Yeah, and I
don't
post
know.
I
but-
post my podcast on
Yeah,
Facebook,
yeah.
and that's what they have, and Instagram too. Like the reels, the split reels.
Oh, yeah,
they've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
that. So, but like I said, I generally don't know. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you should ask them when I get
Yeah, like, do you know what I do?
intervention, please. Please make me feel better.
And then break down like how much you made this year, and they'd be like, "Damn, this dude really did make it.
Right?
He's rich."
I'm not rich. No, I make a good amount of money now, like where I could say like I'm pretty secure, but it's not secure enough for California for sure.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I don't
California is
think-
stupid.
you
Like,
got to be a millionaire to live in California.
Yeah, even millionaires don't want to live in California.
Exactly.
Like they're putting their money somewhere else.
And even $1 million doesn't even get you anywhere anymore.
Yeah, like I think before I started making the money that I made, I had asked a realtor, I'm like, oh, how much money do you need to make in California to have a decent living? This was like maybe 4 years ago, and she said around 5 to 6, and that money right now it means nothing. Like
5 to
if-
6 what?
5 to 6,000. If
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
if you're making that money a month here in California, and if you want to have a decent life where you could have a somewhat good looking house,
Yeah.
and then not worry about bills, mortgage, and then live the month to month. Now it's going to be around 8 to 9,000, and
Yeah.
even that
Hell yeah.
it's a lot of money. Where's that money coming from? I don't know. Luckily, like I said, I'm not too worried about it because I'm just whatever I do for whatever reason, people like it, and then they just keep giving me money, which I'm happy.
Yeah.
But it is a grind. I'm not gonna
Hell
say
yeah.
it's always easy. I'm not gonna say that I always feel like doing it. I'm not gonna say that every morning I just wake up smiling. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a jolly day and I'm gonna go create this content for this
Yeah.
person and I'm gonna re-edit this and then there is a process of like when in the morning I'm like, okay, you have to be grateful, you have to be thankful. It's a process of like acknowledging your success as far as like yourself as well. That's kind of where I'm at right now, especially when the slow time comes, because when it's fast, you're not thinking about nothing. You're not thinking about the equipment that you're buying. You're not thinking about the camera that you're holding. You're not thinking about nothing besides the product that you have to deliver. And half the time it's very, very stressful and there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it. So when there is a slow time, I come in my studio and I'm like, I'm chilling in here. Like I would rather be here than in my house. Like this is my little location that I've built, and I'll watch TV here and I'll watch like little documentaries here and I'll just feel the vibe that I've created and I like it. I would rather be here than anywhere else. Like if you say like, hey, let's go to transplants, like why? Why am I going to go to somewhere like it's going to be cold? I don't even drink beer. So what's the point?
No, yeah.
You know?
Hey, I feel you, man. If I had a spot like this, and eventually, I do want a spot like this, I would be there every day. I'd probably live there.
Right. Yeah, I'm here when there's no work. I'm literally
Yeah.
here when there's no work. So this is the reason why I brought these little photos for you. So this is what I do when I'm bored. Here, I'm literally just printing stuff out.
Wait, you printed these?
Yeah, I printed these.
So isn't that like a...
No, these are my pictures. Like these are just street photography pictures, and I'll probably just post them like on the screen so people can kind of see them. So these are all done through this little camera, the Fuji camera.
That's a film. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
this is
film camera.
no, this is not a film camera.
No.
This is digital.
So how'd you? Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
I have a little printer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a little printer. So these are like my little when I need to escape. You know, when I go to the city and I go do extrovert stuff.
Dang, your printer did this?
Yeah.
That's good. How big can it go?
Well, that one that you're holding right now, that is from. Oh my bad. This is from my GR. So this is my little point and shoot. I think this is 21 megapixels, and I think this is 22 megapixels. I printed one of those. I'll probably bring it in because it's a big print. It's like probably like the size of the table. And
You have a printer that big?
no, I ordered that one.
Oh, I was about to say.
I do want to get a printer though.
I got
but
a bunch of pictures I want to print.
I do want a printer though. They're fairly expensive. The one that I'm looking at is the A300 or something like that from Canon. That's like $800. So
What the hell?
yeah,
I thought there were way more than that.
well now remember technology.
Yeah.
There's more advanced ones now.
Yeah, I remember you couldn't. I used to go to Sam's Club.
Yeah, I used to go to Sam's Club too.
And yeah, and I don't know why they shut it down. That was
Bastards.
probably their best customer.
I know, me too. I just order them all day. Like that's where I think I go through B&H or Adorama now.
Wait, so where can we go now? Because I actually have a couple photos.
I do online stuff now. This stuff I have a little printer here. Like I have a little portable.
So this
printer.
is the biggest you can go.
Yeah, this is
with
the
the
biggest.
printer you have?
Yeah, with
Oh,
my
okay.
printer. Yeah, but this is like fun stuff for me to look at my pictures.
Yeah, this is tight.
I'll literally look at it and like this is Clinton right here.
This is Clinton. Where's Clinton at?
He's being him.
You need to get him on the
something, you know?
podcast.
No, I do want to get him on. He was on my podcast before though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that was a podcast I analyzed when I was looking at my podcast.
So where were you guys here?
Under like a garage. This is like the week before they closed down the city, for the
city?
pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Like this was in LA, and it was a ghost town. We were downtown LA, and
Nobody was
a week before they actually closed it, we did a wedding, and I remember he usually uses me for all his wedding stuff, or prior. He doesn't do weddings anymore. And he had told me like, hey, I know I usually ask you to be a second shooter, but I got my old photographer to come in and sit in because she asked, and I'm like, no worries, man. Like I'm not like that, you know. Like I'll come in and help when I can. It's not even about the money too, because you know I'm not even thinking about money when I'm doing this stuff. And I think she got scared, the photographer. She's like, oh, the news said this, and people are this, and
People
all this
turning
other
into
stuff, you know, all this other
zombies.
stuff. You're right. So she got paranoid, and then that's when he called me the day before, and we went to downtown LA. That's where the wedding was at, and
In downtown?
yeah, it was empty. It was a ghost town.
But like where in downtown?
I don't remember. It was like,
in a rooftop? Or
yeah, it was
like-
a rooftop. Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
okay.
It was a nice spot. It was a nice spot.
Oh,
But
okay.
I remember we were in the garage, and I'm like, "Yo, Clinton, go out there, like go down to the end of it, and then just like start walking." And I took the picture.
It's tight.
Yeah, but
You should make a book of like just all the years.
all the years, my
Just
little
make
documentary.
yeah, that'd be so
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, but yeah, these are like my little prints, my little getaways and stuff. Like,
When you take pictures of like random people like this guy
Uh-huh.
right here, I don't know if the camera can see, but
I'll put it on them though.
what do they ever say anything to you?
No.
Or do you ask them, or you just kind of just do it fast?
No, well, there's certain ways to do it. So let's see, like this one. So like this one, here, he's somewhere else right here. Where is he at? Saw another.
This one?
No, he's right here.
Oh.
So see him?
Okay.
So I was walking towards him. So I already saw him. So I kind of already did my composition, my lighting. And then I already knew that I was getting closer. I was going to do manual focus.
Yeah.
So I put it in with like maybe 7.1 aperture.
Okay.
So that way I didn't have to worry about, you know, where he was going to be standing. And then from there, I basically just started walking and I went like this. So I had him on my side and I just went, so a bunch of little pictures. And that's the one that came out.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And of course he's sleeping. So
Yeah, that guy, he didn't know what was going on. How about this one though? You
no,
told him?
yeah, no, I usually don't.
Oh,
say
you just
anything.
kinda
no,
walk by?
literally I go like this. I just walk with my camera and just start taking
okay.
pictures, or I'll use like the little flip screen,
Yeah.
and I'll just kind of like this one. You could tell that I'm in like using my hip.
This one I could tell you're using
Yeah,
here too, like you're
yeah.
walking by.
Yeah,
That's tight.
and then I think that's me. I think Ariana took that one.
You guys went on a night shoot?
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
Damn.
Yes,
Tight,
sir.
man.
But yeah, this is like this is what I kind of like doing on my days off when I'm not doing podcasting or shooting.
You just go out and shoot?
Yeah, it's just I think every creative should just do something randomly and not expect anything from it,
Yeah.
and then just basically just see what you could find. Like go to a different spot. Like when it's not here. I think it was one of these dates that I went and shoot, and you could tell that this is like. Do you know where the Board Museum is at?
Yeah.
So this is technically where the Board Museum.
Yeah.
That's how
I
empty
think it's down the street, right?
that's
Because
how-
that's the Disney
yeah.
one?
Yeah. So this is
yeah.
how empty the city was
Damn.
when I was going and shooting. Like there was nothing, and I was getting sad because I'm like, I want to shoot people, like interactions, like more of like this stuff, like
Yeah.
close-ups, and I just forced myself to just go. And I remember I met some skaters, and I just started talking to them. We started talking for like 2 hours.
No way.
Yeah, and then we just became friends. And that's kind of what I put myself into. Like, okay, you have to go and express yourself with your photography, but just get out of your comfort zone too. Like,
Yeah.
I went by myself. I didn't go with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did ask Ariana if she wanted to go randomly, but it was just so last minute that she probably had something to do. But it didn't stop me from going and out. Just go and to the city, like, which is an hour drive or an hour and a half, and then just go walk around places that I didn't even know.
What do you remember that one time where we went to right here? Where was it?
Oh,
That Grace,
the Sierra.
yeah,
Sierra.
where we did interviews with the homeless.
Yeah. See, that stuff is fun though.
That was kind of
Yeah, because it's different. Like you're actually interacting with somebody that's not trying to be an influencer.
Yeah,
You know, and they're in the position in their lives now where like they're just wanting attention, any type of attention. Like the lady that we spoke to, like you could tell she just wanted to keep going. Like,
yeah, she just wanted to talk.
yeah, she just like it seemed like she was so lonely, and you could
Yeah.
tell that she was lonely because she was talking about her kids and how they were going to come visit her,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And I was like, and I already knew that they were going to clean up that street the following week. I'm
Yeah.
like, they're not going to come visit you. Like this is going to be gone by next week.
Yeah. Well, that lady, I think that as the more she talked, the more I realized that it was kind of just something in her head. I don't think it was real. I
Yeah.
think she kind of was just not there.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I thought she was there. Like I thought she was all there.
Yeah.
Cause she seemed normal. Like she seemed
Yeah.
like she was good. But the more she talked, the more I kind of realized that I think they were kind of just, she was kind of.
Yeah, she was making up a story.
Yeah, it was like either she made up a story, or she just really believed it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, and like I said, I technically asked you to go with me because
Yeah.
I was going to go take with my camera a bunch of homeless people. Like, I'm short. Like, I'm not even like, what, 140, 150 maybe? Like, bro, someone could pick me up.
Yeah, and then I remember that guy came by. We're filming, some people, and then we got a couple people to talk to us, right?
Yeah.
And then after the guy came by, it was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing here?"
Yeah.
And then he wanted to get money from us.
Yeah. He's like, he was the mayor.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, kind of basically he runs that street or whatever." And then he just took off.
Yeah, but no, for sure. Like that was, I think that was my biggest reason why I asked you. Cause I could defend myself, but why put myself in a position where I know I have heavy equipment or I have equipment that's worth something. And then I know that you're always down to go do stuff with me. So that's why I asked. I'm like, bro, like,
And that
you
was
need to be
tight
my
too.
security.
Yeah, that was tight because and then after, they open up the hall to eat and stuff.
Yeah.
And we saw everybody, and there's a couple of crazy people.
Oh,
the
yeah.
lady or the girl that ran in there and screaming and wanted to fight.
Yeah.
It's just
There
like-
was a senator she was I think the senator of Palmdale for like a month or whatever. And then she got caught.
What?
Remember that lady?
Caught what?
The lady senator?
No.
Or is she a senator? I forgot her name. White lady.
Oh, the one that was running.
No, she won. She won.
Yeah, but she was running.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
but I don't remember her name though.
I don't remember her name, but she went to one of the dates that I went, and I have her on film, like on the little short film that I did for that church. She's in that video, and then like maybe a couple months later, she got and she was in the news everywhere because she got caught with her secretary, like a lady secretary too.
What?
That she naked pictures. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and then she got she kind of put herself out, like literally just she quit.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I forgot her name though.
Yeah, it was a white lady.
Yeah,
I remember
white,
she was kind of young.
short hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was random. I remember Vice was there too the day that I was there.
Oh yeah, Vice did show up.
Yeah, I remember they were there and they were telling me like they were with her for like 2 years or a year.
Oh, that's right. They followed her around.
Yeah, and they were gonna do like a mini doc or whatever. And I don't know what happened.
I did see that.
They probably discontinued it after her.
Yeah.
Dilemma. But yeah, it was just like I remember that day, like just like crazy stuff. You know, like bro, like anything could happen at any moment. Like when you're documenting, like that's gonna live on YouTube forever. Or that little video that I shot.
You should. Do you have that footage?
I do.
You should redo it and put it out as like something different.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I wish I would have captured audio when we were talking to them.
You didn't?
No, I will.
Oh, shit.
It wasn't for them. It was for the charity because I was doing the marathon for Grace Resources. So I did a little promo video to promote it.
Oh.
As far as like what we were doing, and I wasn't even in the video. I was just filming the video. So I was gonna run the marathon with a realtor, and it just so happened that they needed footage to promote it, and that's how it started. Where I'm like, okay, let me just do a little promo video, but then I needed footage of what they were talking about, and back then there was no stock footage that we could go on and just download. Yeah. So I had to go and navigate the streets of Lancaster. And that's where I was actually just doing B-roll, but I was in my head, I was in like, oh, I'm gonna interview. So I'm going to take a microphone or I'm going to just do it off of my phone. But now thinking about it, I should have, because it would have been very interesting just to go on those conversations and record.
We were like deep in it was our Skid Row.
Right?
it was like Palmdale Skid Row.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, those are things that I do not look back on. But those are the things that I enjoy though. Like I enjoy doing that stuff. It's random, different. It was off of my pocket too. No one was telling me how to do it. Or there was a little bit of directing on certain people that they wanted to look a certain way. But now looking back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. And you know what I want to do too? I kind of want, not me personally, but I want to get it on my magazine. It's just kind of like, that movie, what is it? The Nightcrawler or something like that? Where he goes out. Is it Nightcrawler?
I think so. With the red car? Like it's a Chevy?
No. The guy who goes out and
films, right?
He films.
He's like a reporter.
Yeah, he goes out and scans.
Yeah, he buys like a red car towards the
end. Oh,
like
yeah, the end. Yep. Yeah. Okay, yeah. He buys a Challenger, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Something like that. Yeah, kind of, because, dude, there's a lot of shit that goes on out here. I follow, everybody follows the AV scanner. And, dude, there's shit going on out here everywhere, too. Not even just, like, the east side, the west side. Everywhere. The nice area.
Yeah. Well, there's stories everywhere as far as like anywhere you go, there's always a story.
No, but I feel like Palmdale and Lancaster is very unique and different compared to like even LA and stuff, because out here it seems like there's nobody out here like there. Okay, in LA it's separated, right?
Yeah.
You got your nice, your middle class,
Yeah.
And over here, it almost feels like there's no separation. Like there's shit going on everywhere, like literally everywhere. The nice area that's supposed to be nice out here, like at the park, Marine Kerr, that's supposed to be like the nice area, and there's already been like like 2 people who passed away already. There's been a couple of shootings just in the last couple months.
Dang.
Yeah. It's crazy. So I want to do like that. Like I want to get like just like people who show up to the scenes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Scanner.
And just have people
like
just,
Batman.
That'd be dope to just capture like real life situations. Kind of like when we went here.
Yeah.
To capture real stuff. I also want to do like a little video of talking to like the homeless. Okay. Kind of like what we did.
Yeah.
But, like actually maybe dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Maybe how they got there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
No, I've seen a little bit of videos on that also on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I do like those videos because they're more authentic. And like I said, they're not trying to build their clout or build their Instagram. So they're not being fake. These are the people that are in their lowest points in their life. So they're just going to open up and they're just kind of just saying whatever it is that they're trying to say, even if they're like a little bit delusional as far as like,
Yeah,
because they're, you know,
yeah.
like mental state. I know the lady was a little bit where she was talking about her kids and how they were gonna come visit. So we're off the bat already like, oh yeah, she's just lonely, you know, like
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, but she was in her moment, you know. So I think that was very authentic, and that's something that we don't have anymore. Like this photos that I have, you won't even see them on my Instagram. Like I post them on my stories, but you won't see them on my portfolio.
Yeah.
Just because now that I'm posting, I almost feel like I'm faking it. You know, like I'm like, oh, I'm just wanting the likes, you're just wanting the views, and you're no longer thinking about why you did it in the first place. So there are things that I won't post just for that reason. And I know it's something that's dumb because I need to keep marketing and I need to push my name and I need to push my creativity so that other people can look at it. But it's just very hard because like you, I don't like social media. That's how my business grew.
Yeah.
But now it's because everybody's doing it.
Yeah, you have to.
It's almost like, it's not that I have to. It's more of it's been diluted so much that it's taken away what it meant before. You know, when you created something back in the day, it was yours and it looked like yours, but now someone could see what you're doing and literally just copy the same thing.
Yeah.
And now everything looks the same. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, why am I going to post what I've created? Because it's literally just washed down at this point. So there are things that I do for myself and I keep it to myself for now. At some point, I do want to post this stuff or print them out a little bit bigger, maybe sell them. But
that's what I wanted to get into too. I wanted to just like, I have a couple photos that I actually did a couple months ago.
yeah,
And as I'm taking them, I'm thinking in my head, dude, I'm going to print these. Like, these are going to be like, I don't even care if I get $5 for them. I just want to like print them and sell them.
yeah,
Like, I want to do actual prints.
yeah.
Because this was like a dope moment.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I love the feel of a photo. Like looking at this, I could look at the same photo on my phone, but because I could go this way, like I could go scroll up and down.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean a lot. Like this, I'm like looking at it. I'm looking at the buildings. I'm looking at my composition. I'm looking at the person that I'm shooting. So it means a lot more just like looking at it. It's a slower process. But yeah, man, like it's just different now. It's just like for creatives, I hope that we kind of learn how to like actually navigate what we're doing now. Not really doing the discount prices. I do see that a lot more often now. So we're all like competing towards one another and we're kind of shooting each other in the foot. But you know, like we're all going to need to learn. We're all trying to do the same thing at the end of the day. We're all trying to eat. But the more people do it, you know, it's going to be like I said, it's going to be washed down. Like no one really cares if there's too many of me going around, you know? But yeah, just have to keep going. Yeah. But yeah, just, I hope you do continue doing, because like I said, you stopped and I'm like, bro, what happened? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I know you're very talented. So just have to keep learning new things, you know?
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going. And then I know you're doing your podcast too. So I think that's something that you have to keep doing. Like you have to keep doing. And then from there, who knows, something could grow. I know, like I said, I have someone, George, in the house. He started his podcast and, you know, same thing. Like it's just a consistency, you know, like you just have to allow yourself to like I'm trying to bring this space into not just people that are business oriented, but other creatives. And I want them to understand, like, I do see other small studios out here now popping out, but I want it to be where this studio is known for, like, okay, I want to help you out, you know, as a creative. Like when you come in here, you help me out with stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm grateful for that. I'm like, okay, here, do your podcast, do something in the studio. Like, I want you to like grow as well. Like, it's just not for me. Like I want it to be where like, okay, you see a space, you feel the energy, like take it, you know, like I want you to get that positive energy too. 'Cause out here, you know, like we don't really have a lot, you know, like it's just desert, you know, like, we could do other stuff, but you know, as a creative, like we want to be around people, other creatives. And it's just very motivating to be around that, you know, even if they're in different stages in their lives, you know, that's where I see certain things. Like George, I know he's in a different stage that I am in, but I still see his hustle. I see his motivation. I see like the drive that he wants to put into his podcast or his music. And that's kind of what I want around me, you know, because I don't want it to let it go inside of me either. But yeah, Any last thoughts, Mr. Danny, before
No.
we end this?
I mean, not really. Just
Got to bring your goat next time.
yeah, I'm gonna bring my whole
Your
all
farm.
my animals. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for everything that you've done in the past for my band.
yeah.
Thank you for everything that you've been currently doing for me as far as like, helping out in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I want to keep seeing you grow as a creative. And then, I don't know, anything is possible, So
Yeah. Hell
be
yeah.
renting the downstairs one day,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So want to shout out your Instagram or your.
Yeah, you guys could. I have a website, playgroundxmagazine.com. Playground X Magazine, I think, is Instagram. And then, yeah, that's about it.
Cool, man. All right, you guys. Thank you for listening and watch out for the next one.